Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter, I'm here to give you the disclaimers for this here live. Listen, I do not tolerate disrespect. That's in any way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's towards me, towards anyone that appears on the screen, towards anyone that appears in the chat. If you have not decided to be a better person, most people will tell you to leave, but I'm going to tell you to stick around because maybe something that is said today will encourage you to do so. Now, I am not a mental health professional. I am just one woman willing to share my personal experiences to let you know two things. One, you are not alone, regardless of how much you feel like you are alone, how many times you have felt that, you are not alone. And number two, you can overcome anything that life throws at you. There will be curse words, there will possibly be tears, but knowing me, it probably will be. And my opinions are my opinions. Your opinions are your opinions. We are here to have a nurturing conversations in regards to our opinions so that we will have a better understanding of each other. That's all I got for right now. I hope that you enjoy this nurturing conversation. Let's get to it. Wait, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button that helps me say suggested on YouTube. Make sure that you type in the chat, also leave a comment, and share it with your friends. That's all I got. Let's get into this conversation. I love you. Peace.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome. If this is your first time here, welcome back. If you are a returning supporter. Today has been a day, and I am tongue tied. Welcome to the Nurturing Conversations podcast. I am your host, Chelle, Midwsthumnbrd. And tonight's conversation is awareness of self. Last week we talked about the uncomfortable conversation. We talked about the uncomfortable conversation and how sometimes it is important for us to get uncomfortable so that we can make it to that space where we want to be in life. Today we're going to talk about self-awareness, being aware of our thoughts, our actions, the things we say. That's what we're going to talk about today. And as always, all of the conversations start with me. And as I'm having a conversation with myself, I think to myself, like, man, I wonder if other people, how other people deal or how other people do they have these conversations? Do you have these conversations with yourself? I celebrated 3 years on a journey of healing and self-discovery. And as I took a moment to reflect on the last 3 years of my life, I was able to literally walk through every step. Let me rewind. 3 years ago, I experienced a really bad breakup. And you know how when you have a breakup, you're like, oh, I'm never going to date. I'm never going to do any of those things, right? I didn't do that. I said, I need to go on a journey and I need to figure out why I tolerate things or why it is important for me to have people to love me, to like me. Like I wanted to know why all of these things existed in me. Like why did I tolerate things that I knew? You ever have a moment where you say, I wish somebody would, but you know, it's a word that you put M and F or would. Anyways, I tolerated those things when I said I wish somebody would do them. Like I wanted to know why. And so 3 years ago, I declared that I was going to be light, love, and positivity. And I'm not going to sit here and act like that was the easiest thing in the world to do because it was not. It was actually pretty hard. It was pretty hard. But I'm a determined person, and I decided that I was going to be light, love, and positivity, and I was going to go on this journey of healing and self-discovery. I had an idea. I had an idea of what the journey was going to be like. Like I was like, oh yeah, okay. So I was going to talk to my parents. I was going to, acknowledge these things and I was going to be good. That's what I thought was going to happen, because as an adult, you be thinking like things is going to happen. That's what I thought was going to happen. Fortunately enough for me, I was transported to each and every situation that I have endured in my life, and I was given the opportunity to accept, acknowledge, feel, and remind myself that we have already overcome those things, to remind myself that I am safe, and just to look at the situation with my adult eyes. Cause when you're younger, you be looking at things like, oh my God, I can't wait to get out of my parents' house. They too mean. We have all these different ideals when we're younger, but when you're older, you can look back at it and then look back at it. When you're older, you can look back and see the bigger picture. You could see the full picture. So I'm looking back. I transported from. It started at 8. It started at 8. And I transported back to when I was 8, and the first moment and when I felt unsafe or when I felt unloved or not loved. Um, and the emotions overwhelmed me. It overwhelmed me. You know how you experience something and you throw it in the back of your head and you be like, yeah, one day I'm going to get to it. Or you throw it in the back of your head and you forget that it's there. And then one day something happens and then it just like comes rushing. It doesn't tiptoe. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder. It just comes rushing at you all at one moment. And so it all came rushing to me. And when things are uncomfortable, we tend to like, nah, I'ma hold off. Cause in my mind I was thinking like, okay, I was just gonna deal with, some things that I had. I was gonna deal with that and I was gonna be good. I didn't know I was gonna go back to 8 years old when I first felt unsafe or first felt unloved. And so in that moment, like I am freaking out. I am terrified. I am just like, wait a minute, I am a grown woman. Why am I afraid? And then I had to, I'm coaching myself, like, just calm down. Just look at the situation. Just feel it. I'm going to say this again. We have already overcome those things because we are the people who we are right now. Yes, my situations in my past helped me to get here. And I say help because had I not endured those things, I would totally be a different person. Totally. I could say that I would totally be a different person. But I was able to go back from 8 all the way until now and heal things that was broken. I was able to forgive not just the people who did the things to me, but forgive myself. I was saying earlier this year that I was holding on to unforgiveness. I was holding on to unforgiveness, and it wasn't for those other people. I didn't even know that I had to forgive myself. I didn't know that. I didn't know like we're supposed to forgive ourselves for the things, for our thoughts and our feelings. And then I started to realize as I'm still on a journey. As I'm on a journey, I was like, you know what? When situations arise where I know that I could shine, I shy away from them because my unforgiveness was causing me to think like, what if somebody find out, or what if somebody digs into your past and this pops up? And that was holding me bondage. It was holding me. It was holding me so tight. I could see everything that I wanted to do in life, but it was that was stopping me. I feared being successful because I feared what it meant that I would have to do. It meant that I would be outside of my comfort zone. It meant that I would have to actually shine. My entire life, I knew when I got to the point where I was confident in myself, where I believed in myself and I trusted my voice, I knew my entire life. I kept saying one day I'm going to get to that place and I will I'm a be successful in everything that my hands touch. I said that every day of my life. And it wasn't until this journey of healing and self-discovery where life was like, you spoke that every day of your life. So here's what it is. When it said, here's what it is, I was like, oh no, because, in my mind, again, I was thinking like, oh, okay, I'm just going to, drive through this area of my life just to get to this one point, because I felt like this one point was the really serious part. All of the other things was serious too, but I felt like this one situation was a really serious situation as to why I am the way that I am. But when took me back, it took me back, and I was there, and I was watching myself, and I'm trying to protect myself, and I'm doing all manner of things. I realized that I was a people pleaser. I realized so much about myself, and I could do nothing but cry. I'm gonna give this a disclaimer again. I'm someone who processes as I speak. So you might, if I'm talking and I start to cry or my voice get a little shaky, it's okay. I'm a talker processor. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but I'm someone who processes as she speaks. This week I um, walked into situations with the utmost confidence. The utmost confidence. You know, when you're in your house or in your room or your prayer closet or whatever you are, and you're asking whatever deity you serve. I acknowledge everybody's deity. I don't want to say God, and you don't. Whatever deity you serve, and you're like, hey, I want to make $1 million by the time 2023 ends, right? And you're probably like, oh, it's September. How am I going to do it? You already have on the inside of you everything you need to be successful. I went on this journey and I realized, I was telling someone, I was like, I used to compare myself. Comparison is such a crutch. It's a crutch. Like, it's not a crutch. It's a disability. It disables you, right? Because I used to compare my voice. Like, I was like, I don't sound like, and I can't do all the riffs and run, but I really have a beautiful voice. Ooh, wee. Um, I have a beautiful voice. I have a beautiful voice, and I would say things like, I can't sing like that, or I don't know how to discount my voice, my vocal ability. And in turn, I just stopped singing. I focused more on songwriting or making music. And then when I started making music, it was like, oh, I don't make beats like this. And I kept talking myself out of the very things that I wanted to do my entire life. My entire life. I'm like, okay, I know if somebody came to me the other day, it was like, hey, I need you to write, record, produce a 12-song album. I knew, I said this all throughout my life. I knew that I could do that. I got all the equipment, songwriting, I could do all of that. But I kept talking myself out of it. I kept saying that, oh no, we can't do that. When you like have your hopes up and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do, and then disappointment comes. We don't acknowledge disappointment because we just feel like, okay, we human. But in all actuality, we need to acknowledge disappointment because that has been a big part of our lives. I'll say my life. I can't speak for you, but I'll say it's been a big part of my life. Like, you feel like, okay, when you're born, everyone talks to you like, oh, your parents, your mother and father, and then you have this idea of like what your life is going to be like when you're little. You don't think like, I'm gonna grow up in a single parent household. You're like, I got a mother and a father, and you're like, that's my granny and these are my siblings, and you are excited. You don't know what's going to happen in your life. You just are excited, and then things start to happen to you, and that light that was once shining is now starting to like flicker, and it almost goes out. But then you go on a journey of healing and self-discovery, and you start to see that all of the things that happen to you, they do not make you. Those things do not make you. They do not define you. They are things that happen to deter you from the journey of healing and self-discovery, or those are things that happen to deter you from greatness. Being aware of oneself. You already know. Like when we were in elementary school and it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a pediatrician, a songwriter. I had a whole list of things, and they're like, no, you can only pick one. And I'm like, no, I could be all of those things if I wanted to. And as I was growing up, I was laughing with my brothers earlier because I was like, I remember my uncle said, no, I don't know if it's know a lot about a little, know a little about a lot of things. I don't know, but basically what he was saying was learn as much as you can about a lot of things. So in the event that you need, have to recall something, it's there. So I took up basketball, and when I got hurt and I couldn't play basketball anymore, music has always been there. When you grew up in a musically inclined family, some facet of music, whether it's singing, songwriting, production, playing an instrument, some facet is there, right? When you grow up in a family where there's entrepreneurs or there's people that can do hair, or you there are things that are already inside of you. They're already there. And we were talking, and I was like, when we're growing up, they don't really teach you how to be self aware. They don't teach you how to focus on yourself. They don't teach you how to acknowledge your growth. They don't teach you, they teach you, how to fold your clothes and separate your, some people didn't learn that, but teach you how to separate your clothes. My mom taught us how to pay rent by asking us, hey, give me this amount of money. And then we were like, oh no, she want my money, but we weren't thinking about she was showing us how to pay, like how to set money aside for things. And then, when if you had to ask your mom for money and it's like, oh, here you go. And you thought, like, I knew where the money was coming from. That's that money that we was giving her for the rent. And I just started to think about the decisions I used to make. I made so many decisions out of fear. Fear controlled a large majority of my life. Fear did. A lot of decisions I made was out of fear of not being loved, out of fear of not being liked, out of fear of not being a part of something. A lot of decisions I made out of fear. And this is me telling you this because I've acknowledged it. Like I looked, I watched, I observed, and I was just like, oh my God. I remember a situation where I was just like, I don't want to do that. I remember I was really stubborn. I was adamant. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And then I got stamped as somebody that was being stubborn. And I was like, you know what? If that means that this is not going to happen to me, I'm cool with that. I'll rock with that. I'll be stubborn. I won't. I pride myself on not doing anything that I don't want to do. That's something that as I was growing and all of my experiences that I experienced in life, I am not going to do something. That was a boundary I set, and I stood 10 toes down on it. If I didn't want to do it, not doing it. And that's when I became more, I started to realize that people will do what you allow them to do. They will say what you allow them to say. I began to understand what that actually means. Like maybe you're their friend that's the life of the party. You're looking at it like, yeah, I'm the life of the party. The party, they always want me to come, but every time you go to the party, you bring in the drinks, you're bringing the food, you're bringing the music. It's at your house. You're hosting the party. Like you don't even think about those things. You're just like, yeah, everybody is enjoy having, a good time until it's time to go home and you wake up the next morning and you like looking at the mess that was made from the party that you hosted. When you start to realize that your budget always includes alcohol or finger foods or whatever it is, when you start to realize that, and it's just like, wait, nobody ever brings anything to this party. I'm supplying all of everything. When you start to do that self reflection, like I started to. Someone asked me, there's like, how did you get to where you are? And I said I had to totally deconstruct everything that I ever learned, that I ever thought, and it wasn't like I just threw it all away. Like I picked the things that stuck with me. When things stick with me, I hold on to those. Like when I was growing up, we were at church Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday morning, Sunday night, and we was there on the off days, cleaning up the church. We was doing everything. Like I spent the majority of my teenage, young adult years in church. And so I wasn't one of those people who's like, oh, when I get older, I'm going to leave, I'm going to do this. I'm a really inquisitive person. And so I would just wonder, like, read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations. I got one of those uh, books that breaks down the words. This, I am studied. I am well versed when it comes to the scriptures. And then I began to ask questions. See, that's the thing for me. Like, I grew up in a family where they always made it of like you can ask a question about anything. Like now you will ask an adult a question and shoo, things will turn left really fast. But when I was growing up, you could ask questions, and I was able to ask questions about the things that I didn't understand. And for me, having people being able to tell me what it meant or show me, like use an analogy of what it meant, and I could understand. And so as I'm attending church and I'm there, my understanding of God and church and religion definitely took on a whole nother meaning. And so when you're on a journey of healing and self discovery and everyone around you is worshiping God or Jesus, and that's not the journey, that's not your journey. Like I started there. You know, they say train up a child in the way it should go, and when it get older, it won't perish. And I started to think about how I identify when it comes to spirituality. And in my understanding of self awareness, I didn't agree with many of the things that I was taught when I was growing up. And so, um, when you're growing up in church and you hear, hey, when you go outside of the church, you're a backslider, the devil is going to get your mind, and it's all these different things. So now it's fear. Now you are afraid to follow who you are or what you believe because you're afraid that the deity up above is going to send you to a place that's like a fire and you're going to burn forever. And I've always been a type of person who, I don't want to say I'm rebellious, but when I was growing up, I'll say when I was growing up, I was pretty rebellious. Um, so I decided to explore that. I decided to explore um, my thoughts and why I didn't agree. And I decided to look, do a deeper dive. And I remember one day, one of the elders was like, you can't go too far in the scriptures because then the devil will try to warp your mind. And then that just blew everything for me. I was just like, how can I worship? And I'm getting closer. They say the Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth, but how does that happen where I'm trying to gain an understanding and then it becomes something more? And so I just had too many questions. And for me, it was like, I'm going to go and jump down this rabbit hole and figure it out. And so I stepped away from church. And of course, when you step away from a religion, you are met with a lot of opposition. People who were once your friends, people who were once, like y'all was hanging out, spending time together. It's like they can't talk to you anymore. And so um, when I normally talk about church, I call it a cult because it has cultistic measures to it. It embodied a cult for me. So um, I stepped away from it, and as I was reviewing this journey of healing self discovery, I realized that that was the greatest thing for me. I know um, many people will be like, "Well, you grew up in church. I got religious tattoos. I got everything, right?" But it was just like when you come into yourself, when you start to believe in yourself, when you start to understand, like your parents, it's like, okay, you wake up, you shower, take a bath, whatever it is that you do, then you get dressed, and then it's like routines has formed, right? And for me, it was like I was so heartbroken when I stepped away, and then all the people who was like cool with me were like, yeah, they wasn't returning calls and they wasn't like hanging out anymore. And so again, I went on the inside of myself and I was like, but I thought we was cool. I thought, I'm going through all these different things, and then I said to myself, like, you know what? I'm just throwing it in the back of my mind. I'm gonna just throw it back there, and I'm keeping on, and then when I see people, um, it's just a weird thing. And then like when something happens in your life, you start to internalize, and then when you internalize, your mind, like, I don't know with your mind, but my mind be kicking things into high gear, cause I was just like, but we was cool though. Like, how do we, like, if you ever talk to anybody that used to go to church, and it always be like, well, your God is love. Like, if you're not talking to me about love, I don't even want to hear what you have to say, right? Like, I used to be. I've never been one of those people, but I know a lot of people who do that. And for me, because I'm well versed in the scriptures and I grew up in religion, um, I don't I don't entertain conversations about that. You know how people have debates, and I don't entertain conversations about that, because me, when it comes to situations about religion, um, I realize that um, my understanding my spiritual journey, that's what I'm gonna say, my spiritual journey makes a lot of people uncomfortable because they don't understand how I could believe what I believe. They don't understand how I cannot believe what they believe. And that's why I have this podcast, because I'm like, if you want to come on, we could have a nurturing conversations about religion. We could have um, a conversation about beliefs. When I was growing up, like, my mom always, she was like, treat everybody how you want to be treated. That was way before I even got to church. My mom was teaching us that. My mom was making sure. She was like, if you see somebody that doesn't have, she would send us to school with extra lunches. She would, like, my mom made sure, like, um, we understood tolerance and acceptance. Like, so when I was younger, like, I already knew, like, if I saw somebody, it was like, you see somebody getting bullied, like, I don't want to say automatic, because some people it's not automatic, but you go and you, like, defend them or you protect them. Like, that was something that I grew up with, like, protection. And so I'm journeying through life, and looking at my morals, looking at my behaviors, looking at my beliefs. And when I decided to just be light, love, and positivity, I was like, oh my God, it is so much, so many things I have to get rid of, so many things I won't be doing anymore. I was telling my brother today, I was like, have you ever heard, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all? You probably heard that, right? And he was like, oh, I know, I got it. I know what it means. I know, And I was like, yeah, I got it too. And then one day, it totally dawned on me. If you don't have anything good at all to say, don't say anything. A lot of times we be like, so and so is doing this, but we still be talking towards them. Like, I remember I used to, if you have siblings and your younger siblings, the younger siblings, it's something about those younger siblings. So my younger brother, he's a really talented guy. He's really talented, and sometimes he just don't have. He loses his motivation, his inspiration, and like you see him, he's like, "That's my little brother. I want to give him. I want to show him. I want to. You want to do it for them, right?" And so I got ready to say something, and I was just like, "Nope, nope, I'm not gonna say it." And then instead of saying what I felt like I should have said, I said, "He will pull it together. He comes from a great family with a long lineage of people who have overcome all kinds of obstacles, and he will put it together. He will pull it together." When I started looking at people, like you're driving and you see people, I don't know if they stand on an island by where y'all live, but where I live, if you're driving, they stand on an island and they have these signs. And so my heart immediately goes out to these people. Um, when I see them. And you'll hear people like honking their horn. It's like, get a job, stop being a bum, and all these different things. And in my mind, I'm just like, how hurtful is that? How hurtful is it to tell somebody to get a job? We don't even know why they out there. We don't know what their circumstances are. They're just there. I thought to myself, um, I have a family member that is in the hospital right now, and I went to visit them in the hospital. And the hospital they are in, um, 8 years ago, I was sleeping in the parking structure in the car, homeless, in the parking structure of the hospital. And I went to visit them, and their room in which were staying is clear view, clear view of the parking structure. I'm sorry if you just tuned in. I gave a disclaimer. I'm someone who processes as she speaks, and this is really emotional for me because 8 years ago I was homeless and I was sleeping in the car in that parking structure, and I just thought to myself, um, how time changes, how life changes. I'm in a house and I've been in a house for 8 years. I was homeless due to situations beyond my control. I took all the steps in which I was supposed to take, and it was things beyond my control that caused me to be homeless. And even when I'm gonna talk about being homeless for a minute, right? I know everybody like I was homeless, but I wasn't holding a sign homeless. So that doesn't make me better than the people that was holding a sign. But I was homeless, and I spent, I don't want to say so much time. I spent a lot of time going over the things that I did, and I was like, I did everything I was supposed to do. How am I homeless? How do I not have a place, a safe, warm place to lay my head? How is that possible? I'm going over my budgets. I'm going over everything. If you know me, like I pays my bills. I was going over everything, and I was just like, you know what? Sometimes we be putting ourselves last and putting everybody else in front of us. And for me, as I begin to like calm down, when you first get in a situation, you're like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then you start making decisions based on your current, like, it's like, I'm homeless. Okay, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to go? Where am I supposed to go? And I just had to calm down. And I was like, you know what? There is something that you want me to understand. And I need to get this because I don't ever want to be in this place again. And while I was homeless, I did have a safe place to sleep. I slept in a car, in parking lots, parking structures. Um, I ate every day. I had clean clothes. When I think about it, I'm like, I ate every day. I had a safe place and warm place to sleep. Um, when I say I ate every day, and I don't just mean like, I mean I ate every day. Um, and then I found this house. I started to pay attention. Like that's when I started meditating. You know, like I was so busy with life. I was so busy. I had this. I would my whew, I was so busy. I felt like if I was busy, I didn't have time to think. I didn't have time to deal. I didn't have time to process because I was always busy. So as long as I was busy, God wasn't focused on the fact that I was homeless. And then I was like, I'm not learning what I'm supposed to learn. And then as I began to meditate and as I began to take time and be more focused on me, I began to understand that I was putting everybody before me. I thought about everybody before I thought about myself. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is I neglected myself for everyone else. And I feel like life was trying to tell me, like, hey, We need you to start focusing on you. We need you to start paying attention to your actions, to the things that you are doing. We need you to work on you. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to me when, and I started meditating. I started like watching the squirrels and the birds and listening to the bees and just like paying attention to nature, right? And then one day I was in the area of where I live at now, and I walked past this house and I saw the for sale sign or for rent sign outside the house. And I was like, nah, again, it's doubt and fear. I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it because, I'm homeless. I don't have an address. I'm going through all these different things as to why. But something on the inside of me was like, call the number. I was staring at the for rent sign and a red bird, I kid you not, a red bird came and sat on the sign. I call myself Midwsthumnbrd. You probably see it on the screen. A red bird came and sat on the sign. Not only did one red bird, two red birds came and sat on the sign. And I started crying because I was like, I've never seen these. I mean, I watch Discovery Channel, but I've never seen them with my own two eyes. And I thought it was the most beautiful thing. So I was like, let me call. And so I called, and then I got to walk through the house, and it was really beautiful. They was remodeling, they was doing some things, and I was like, okay, cool. So, I'm happy. And then they was like, you go put in the application. So I put in the application. I was pumped because I don't want to be homeless anymore. But I was like, I was pumped. And then like a week later, the lady called, the landlord called and was like, unfortunately, we can't give you the apartment. And so I was in the area again, and I came and I saw the sign, and I was just like, well, I did what I was supposed to do. I have this thing. I'm starting to realize as I'm talking right now, I just always say I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm like, I did what I was supposed to do. I called them, I walked through, I did everything. And then midway through the next week, one of the property owners called me and was like, hey, are you still interested in renting the house? And I'm like, yeah, of course I am. And they were like, well, you can come today if you can give me this, the whole security deposit, whatever thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I got the keys, and I've been here 8 years. 8 years I've been in this house. And I at first it was a joke. But I knew it wasn't a joke. You know how you be joking, but it's not a joke? I said, I am ready to get a Sprinter van, and I'm ready to live the van life. And people were like, you're going to give up your house. You were homeless before. You were going to do all of this. And I was like, I'm ready to do that. Honestly, homelessness, uh, you will take it how you want to take it. Homelessness for me wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. When I think about not paying any bills, no, it wasn't even about the bills. It was just the peace of mind that I had. And then I was like, I want to get a Sprinter van. It's because I want to do more YouTube videos. I be watching YouTube, and I was like, I could do those things. Like, I want to travel and rate first class. Do y'all be watching those? Like, there's no people of color traveling and rating first class. I want to do that. I always realize that I like to do things that there's not a lot of people doing. When I started to think about positivity, and I'm not saying that African Americans or people of color aren't positive. I just like, where's our meditation channels? Where's our ambient music? Like, where do we work out? Like, when I started working out, I was like, I want to work out. You know what? I'm a live stream myself working out. And that thing in the back of your head was like, people gonna make fun of you of how, your size, because you're not skinny, you don't have the six pack and all of that. And I was like, this is why I wanted to talk about awareness of self, because sometimes we have to tell ourselves to shut the fuck up. Sometimes we have to tell ourselves that. I have to tell myself that, like, you know what? there is going to be people. That's when you, there are going to be people who are going to look at my body and be like, oh my God, why is she doing all that? But you know what they're going to do? They're going to watch the whole entire thing because now they're intrigued to see if I'm going to complete the 20-minute workout. I just got a view. I started to look at things, my vision or my understanding of things started to change. When I said I'm just going to focus on light, love, and positivity, I was literally telling my brother this today. I said I had to stop talking negatively to myself. Do you talk negatively to yourself? You probably like, no, I don't. You probably literally just said, no, I don't talk negatively to myself. But let me ask you this question: have you ever said, why did you do that? You know you shouldn't have did that. You ever like give yourself that talk? A lot of times we should give ourselves that talk because we make decisions that we should not be making. We know. We already know what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And sometimes we just be so comfortable in doing the same shit over and over. And I said to myself, I don't want to be comfortable anymore. You can't get to $1 million being comfortable. What? I'm not striving for $1 million, but I'm saying that you can't get to where you want to get in life being comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable. You have to do that thing you know it's going to take you rolling up your sleeves and putting some elbow work in there. You know it's going to take you to get in the mud. Like when I say awareness of self, it's going to take you going back to that when you were 8, 10, 9, 11, whatever moment it was in your life, it takes you going back to that and coming up to here. I've been telling everybody since I turned 43, don't wait till you get 40 in your 40s to say, hey, now let me figure it out. Nope, do it now. We are surviving a global pandemic. We are surviving. Not it's ended. We have survived. No, we are surviving. Every day somebody is, and I'm not laughing at that, but every day is somebody is now is COVID again. Or something else, right? Do you want to continue to live your life the way you've been living it since the pandemic, since 2019? The last 3 years of my life, I'm telling you, I had COVID, my father died, my mother suffered a series of strokes, I had a major surgery, one of my other siblings is currently in the hospital. And I'm sitting here like, okay, when do we get a break? You know, when do I get a break? I could look at it like that, right? When do I get a break? And then I shifted my vision and I was like, you know what? I am so grateful. I'm so grateful right now that we are not in COVID restrictions where I can't go to the hospital to be with my loved one. If I'm not grateful for anything else, I'm definitely grateful for that. So I can go and stay all day with them and laugh and joke and talk. I'm grateful for that because 3 years ago, you couldn't go to the hospital. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I have a relationship with each and every one of my siblings. I'm grateful for the relationship that I have with my nieces and nephews, with my mother, with my aunts and uncles. I'm grateful for me getting out of my own way and saying, you know what? I have these ideas of how I want people to be in my life. We all have ideas of how we want people to be in our life. We want our mothers we want to be the token child. I know if you're a parent and you're watching this, I know you're probably like, I love all my kids the same. We as children know that there is special children. My twin brother and my youngest brother are the special kids of my mother. And it's not like a secret because she might try to say, hey, no, that's not it. But we know exactly what it is. Those two can get away with things that I wouldn't even try to do it, but those two can get away with anything. And if you're watching this and you are a parent or you are a child, you know that you have a sibling that can get away with anything. I remember when I was sick and I couldn't move and I couldn't do anything. And I was so afraid. Whew. Accountability. When you take accountability and responsibility, it might be new, but it's a really freeing thing. I was so afraid because I was so used to doing everything for everyone else that I've never allowed anyone else to do anything for me. So I was so afraid because I couldn't. I was telling them, I was like, man, I could put on Monet Dirty Computer album and my entire house would be clean by the last song. Since my surgery, I put that I put that album on, and by the end of the first song, my energy is depleted. And so when you're used to doing everything by yourself and now you have to depend on others, there comes disappointment. There comes sadness because it's like, oh man, if I could just, you got hopes and dreams. Like, oh man, I remember a time, and it's like, do I stay focused on the I remember a time, or do I adjust to where I am right now? And I say, I know that one day I will be able to get to the point where I could do all of this on my own. Right now, I can't. So it is important for me to use my words and communicate the things that I need. I'm a great communicator. I don't know if you guys have figured that out yet. I love to talk. I love to sing. I love to have conversations with people. But it was like me expressing, verbalizing the things that I need. And a part of me, that was a fear part of me, was like, you ever needed somebody, you needed a ride to go somewhere, and you was like, you're always the person that's driving everybody around, but you need a ride to go somewhere, and you like, damn, who can I call to take me? And then you like, you don't want to bother people, or you don't, I don't want to. I don't want to call you because it's late or because it's this time of the day. I don't know if you're at work. Like all of those different things. I said to myself, whatever I need, I'm going to ask. And all you could say is yes or no. You could say yes, you could say no, or if you can't help me, point me in the right direction. That's the space that I'm in right now. I'm in that space, and I've learned to celebrate. Another thing that I realized about self awareness is when we accomplish things, or I'll say me, when I accomplish things in my life, I've never celebrated them. Never. Because when you're growing up, it's like you don't celebrate, like you celebrate your birthdays, you celebrate Christmas, you celebrate holidays, but you don't celebrate yourself. Like when was the last time you celebrated yourself? When you got a raise, did you celebrate? When you finally completed a course, did you celebrate? Did you get a degree? Did you celebrate? Like I started to celebrate everything. I started to celebrate everything. And when I started to celebrate everything and pat myself on the back and clap and clap and clap when I completed things, it's a certain, y'all see how happy I got right there? It's a certain joy that comes with that. It's like you did good. I remember when I used to play basketball or when I used to have recitals and stuff, I would want people to come. We all want to see somebody we love in the audience clapping for us. Whether you, oh no, I didn't need that. We all want to see people in the audience clapping for us. We all want to see people come and leave a comment or hit the thumbs up button if y'all ain't picked up what I just did right there. But if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate that. And if you're on Twitch and you haven't followed, just hit that follow button. Anyways, we all want to see people do that, right? I was literally like, I've never celebrated anything I've ever done. And I have done some real monumental shit in my life. Real monumental. I've interviewed the guy who infiltrated the people with the hoods and those people. Um, I've made history 2 times in 1 year. I defied odds. I've done so much stuff, but I never celebrated. And then when I thought about why I didn't celebrate it, again, putting everyone else before myself. When I thought about myself, I didn't think about myself. I'm that friend that's like, hey, you want to do this? Okay, let's sit down. Let's create a business plan. Let's create all of these different things. I'm gonna help you get everything you need so that you can be. I'm gonna help you get everything, and then it's gonna come to me. I'm gonna procrastinate. I'm gonna doubt. I'm going to let me say, I would used to procrastinate. I would used to doubt. But when September the 1st came in, I said to myself, this is the last month of the third quarter. October starts the fourth quarter of 2023. I am so amazed at all of the things that I've been able to accomplish when I started believing in myself, when I had the confidence. Every day I wake up, I meditate, I go over the week or the weekend, and as I'm meditating, I'm like, okay, what do I want this week? Like if you watch any one of my meditations, I do have personal meditations that I create. This week, I'm going to share a guided meditation. But when I do my meditation, it's morning meditation for manifestation. What is it that you want to happen this week? Last week, I said, you know what? I just want to spend more time with my family. I want to tell them that I love them. I want to hug them. Because what we don't understand is that COVID awakened some of us. COVID did. Because for me, it was like, how dare I walk around holding a grudge or having bitterness against someone, and at any moment, even despite COVID, at any moment, we can check out of here. In the last couple of months, I don't know if y'all been paying attention to the news, but there has been a lot of young people going into cardiac arrest. Um, for me, I want everybody who I know, who I don't know, who watches me, who listens to me, I want you to know that I love you. If you didn't hear it at all today, at all this weekend, I want you to know that I love you. I don't just love you because you're a human being. I don't just love you because you watching me on whatever platform you watching me on. I love you. I love you because you have the courage to be you. You're here. You're listening. I hope that something that I says encourage you, inspires you, motivates you to be more self-aware. If you're somebody who's always working and you're like, oh, I don't get tired, listen. Listen, take it from a 43-year-old woman. You get tired. When we were younger and they used to have us take naps and we was just like, oh no, I don't want to take a nap. They was telling us, that was life telling us, at times you need to take a break. When I started meditating, I didn't realize how calming it is to just sit and be still. I was so busy. While I was busy like building and growing and establishing things, I was so busy that I wasn't listening to my body when my body was saying I'm tired. I wasn't listening to my body when it said, hey, we just need 20 minutes to sit down. We've been running all across town. We've been driving. Just sit. Just give us 20 minutes. And I'm like, no, because I got to go across town. And then when my body shuts itself down and I'm over here and I'm crying like, okay, I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen. And then what happened? You ever pray like, if you get me out of this situation, I'm never gonna do it again? And then what happened? Did you do that thing again? Did you like test? You test to see if you could get away with it? I'm at the stage in my life where I'm testing everything. That's as far as social media. I'm testing everything, but I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I know that I'm not wasting time. If I don't know anything else, we could forget all those other things I said. I'm not wasting time with anything, any area of my life. I am not wasting time. I resolved all issues that I had when it comes to my parents, when it comes to my siblings, when it comes to people around me. I vocalize how I feel, what I think. I am able to use my words. I don't know if you understand how important that is. If somebody hurts your feelings, tell them that they hurt your feelings, because a lot of times people don't be knowing. We say, you know what you said, but we don't know. A lot of times we be letting people slide with all kinds of stuff. Y'all ever have a conversation with an older person and they say some really disrespectful shit, but you be like, oh, they older, so you know. No, a lot of times people just don't know, especially the older generations. They've been so used to just saying anything. Y'all know those older people that I'm talking about. Been so used to just saying anything. And sometimes it's like, no, you're not supposed to say that. You can't say that. You shouldn't say that. I be real tactful when I'm be talking to other people and they say some disrespectful shit. Listen, I know you probably used to people that just letting you say any manner of things, but when you walking in positively, light and love, you can't let people just say anything to you, because then it deposits. It deposits, whether you believe it or not, it deposits. Think about when somebody called you stupid, right? You probably didn't think anything of it. You was like, I'm not stupid. And it just, you went on about your day. And then a situation arose, and guess what popped up? Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Or maybe they was right. Maybe I am ugly. Maybe I don't deserve to have. We have those thoughts. Those things happen. Those things come like they deposit back there. I watched a TikTok. Yeah, I'm talking about TikTok right now. I'm watching a TikTok and a lady said there is post traumatic slavery. Dang, what was the last part of it? Post traumatic slavery thing, right? And she did the analogy. You might understand the analogy when I'm saying it. So she was like, there was two people. There was a white lady and there was a black lady. And she's like, the white lady was talking about her son, and she was like, oh, he's doing this. And she was like, positive affirmation, just talking about how good he is, whatever. And so the white lady looked at the black lady and said, oh, your son is really good too. And then the black lady was like, but he's a headache. And she's just really expressing the tests and trials that they got through so that he can be there, right? And then she said, um, you might have heard that and you might have thought like the black mother didn't love her son, but she does love her son. But when you think about slavery, they wouldn't, like, when a slave master, she said, when a slave master would come and say, your son is strong, he looks like, he could lift or whatever, she said the parent would always be like, they were so afraid of their children being sold away that they would just down talk their child. She loved her child, but she would down talk him so that the master wouldn't sell him away. And when she said that, I was like, holy shit, like, that makes so much sense for me. Like, it makes so much. Let me tell you why it makes sense for me, right? Because my uncle told me one day, he said, when my family migrated from Mississippi to Wisconsin, right? And so he was telling me that my great grandfather, is it my great grandfather? My grandfather, my grandmother's father, owned land, and like he was just telling me the stories of like how we came to be and who got sold where, and I was just looking like, oh my god, this stuff is real. And I'm not acting like I didn't know it was real, because I knew it was real, but to like actually hear from people who have actually was close to like my grandfather, that's like there, to actually hear it. And I thought to myself, and I was like, all this time, um we be thinking about why our parents do stuff or why they don't allow us to do stuff, and a lot of times it's because they have fears also. That's what I was trying to get out. Our parents have fears also, and a lot of times our parents broadcast or give us their fears indirectly, because a lot of times they don't have awareness of self. They didn't acknowledge their issues, or they didn't acknowledge their situations with their parents. They just was like, yeah, when I get older, when I have kids, I'm never gonna do that. Like I remember when I was growing up, I got one whooping in my entire 43 years of living. I got one. But I thought about it, and I was just like, why do people whoop their kids? I'm asking. That's like a question. If you're here, you could leave a comment. But why do people whoop their kids? Hi, just mommy of six. I'm sorry, y'all. I wasn't even looking at the comments. I'm so sorry. Why do people whoop their kids? I have brothers, so I'd be like, hey, do you whoop your kids? Why do you whoop your kids? Because they need to listen. They need to learn. I was like, don't you think if you talk to them, like, I remember growing up and my mother used to be like, don't touch the stove. And as a kid, you're like, why shouldn't I touch the stove? So, I grew up in a family where they tell you why not to touch the stove. And I was like, oh, okay, make perfect sense to me. But then I have a twin brother who was like real, like, he gonna do whatever he want to do anyway. So he touched the stove and his hand was like, and I was like, yeah, I'm not touching that stove. I was one of those people, like, you ever have people that, like, I learned from other people's mistakes. I'm one of those people, like, oh, don't drive up there and go right because there's a pothole there. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm going to go left. I'm one of those people. And I'm also one of those people, if I experience things, I want to share it with you because maybe, you wish somebody would have told you. I wish, not I wish, I am grateful for having an uncle who encouraged me. He worked in politics, he worked in corporate America, and he was like, if at ever you feel like you are at a point where you can't take yourself any further, go to therapy. I was literally just telling this to my little brother earlier because I really wish that he goes to therapy. I wish people in general go to therapy. Um, but I went to therapy. And as I was going to therapy, I began to understand me. I began to understand why I love the way I do. I began to understand why I have a heart for people. When my mom got sick last year, it's so amazing to watch her interactions with people. We went to a funeral of one of the people we grew up with, and at the funeral, their faces lit up when they saw my mom. And as the older me, the younger me, I wasn't really interested in that because I'm trying to live my life. But the older me, who was like responsible for her care, and I'm just looking and it's like my mom touched so many people's lives. And then I started to think about myself and I was like, I don't want to just be like, if something happened to me, I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, she streamed on platforms or she ate food or yeah, she had the funny workout videos. Like, I don't want to just be that. I want to be like, you know what? She said some shit that made me think about my life. Like, she touched me in a way where I decided to change or do better. That's what I just want to do with my life. I want to encourage people to do better. I said on my channels, like, I be going through all these different accelerators and grant programs and pitch competitions. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start sharing this information on my social media. That's what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to share how to put a pitch deck together, what to use to put a pitch deck together. If you're a music artist, I'm going to share different platforms you should definitely be a part of so that you can get money. I don't want to pass away. I don't want anything to happen to me and I have all this knowledge and information in my head and don't do anything with it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to hold on to resources. I don't want to give it to you because you're going to surpass me. I don't even care about none of that. Maybe it's because I'm 43. Maybe it's because I don't know. I want to help. That's all I want to do. I just want to help. If you want to start juicing with me, I'm juicing. I can't. I'm a texture person. I try smoothies, but it's just weird. Smoothies are just weird to me. I try them, but they're weird. So I can do juicing because there's nothing, I know how to strain it out. But if you want juicing recipes, if you want smoothie recipes, I can give you all of that. You want to work out with me in the early morning, I can do all of that. Now, I just want to help. I don't want to hold anything in. I just want to help. I want to give everything that I got because I realized last year when I was, before I got ready to go into surgery, um, I had a moment where it was just like, have I done everything I could have done? It's so when you have that moment where it's like, have I done everything I could have done? Could I have talked more? Could I have shared more about my experiences? Could I have said more? Could I have done more? Like, that's what I was thinking. And I promised myself, like, on the other side, when I wake up and come on the other side, I'm telling you, it's a certain level of confidence when you get ready to go into a surgery. I was so adamant about seeing everybody that was going to be in the room for my surgery. I wanted to see the doctors, the anesthesiologists. I wanted to see the person that was just passing the utensils. I wanted to see everybody. Because if y'all didn't look like y'all was having a good day, I apologize, but I can't have you in this room. I can't have you in this room because I'm want to be on the other side. Is what I want to be on the other side. And the crazy thing that I think about now, I was not afraid at all. I was not afraid at all. You know, the thing I kept saying to myself, I've done so much in 43 years. I've done so much. I am so grateful for every experience. I literally said last week when we were talking about uncomfortable conversations where we were talking about death and GoFundMe's, and I get people don't have money. I get it. I get the saying that people don't have money, and I had to say that because I know we all have money. We got money. We spend money on shoes, food, clothing, glasses, microphones. If you're a streamer, you got lights. We spend money on what we want to spend money on, right? And so, um, my twin brother is in a hospital right now, and when you think about life, it's so fragile. But we move around life. We move around today. Like, how many times, if you're a parent, how many times today have you told your child you love them? Did you even talk? Have you even looked at your child today? Like, how many times do you tell people that you love them? I actually, it's been like a year now since I made it on the other side of my surgery. I said to myself, anybody that I talk to, I'm going to tell them I love you. And I know people that I talk to, like, I know they're like, wait, what's going on? It wasn't anything going on. I just wanted them to know that I love them. You know, when things happen to people, the first thing that people do is go back to find photos or they go back to find videos. And luckily for me, you'll be able to come to YouTube or Twitch and see the lives or the videos because it'll be there. You know, like you can hear me say, I love you. But I want them to hear, if the last thing, if you don't talk to me tomorrow, I want you to know that I love you. I want people to know that. I want to spend as much time as I can with my nieces and nephews because I know what it's like to long to spend time with your aunties and uncles, like hang out with them, get to know them. Like I knew what that was like. And I was like, oh, I don't want my nieces and nephews to ever feel like that. Like my little niece, she does this thing where when she gets sleepy, I know when she gets sleepy because she said, I want a hug. And I know that she's sleepy. Or when she feel like she about to get in trouble by any one of her parents, she comes to me and say, TT, I want to get a hug. And I have to say, I'm going to hug you, but I can't, I can't come in between that. I respect boundaries of parents. I do. However, I'm not going to tell her she can't have a hug. No, I'm too busy. I'm streaming right now. If y'all don't watch the stream, she don't come in here and say, TT, I need a hug. I will put y'all on pause and give her a hug because nothing is too important for kids to have hugs. Nothing is too important. If one of my brothers come in here, I'm going to put y'all on pause. Because I don't know where y'all been at these last 3 years, but I've been spending time learning, understanding, growing, talking to my siblings, talking to my nieces and nephews, my mother, spending time. Because that's all we got right now. I mean, of course, I have a business. Of course, I'd be live streaming. But the most important thing for me right now is spending time, getting to know the people around me. Not just like, hey, that's my homegirl. We grew up together when we was like, but no, like actually know her. Like, think about this, right? Why are you friends with the people you're friends with? Are you friends because that's my high school buddy, man? Her just like, are y'all really friends? Or, does she just call you anytime she going through it with her baby daddy, baby mama, cousin, family, whatever? Or do she actually care? Do they actually care? There's this song, it's called People by La Bianca. I hope I'm saying it right. And I love this song. I love this song because she says she been drinking alcohol for the past 5 days. Did you check on her? She says she walked in the room and her eyes are red and she don't smoke banga. Did you check on her? There's another song by Leon Timbo and it says, don't call me, come get me. If you see me and you see that I am going through, you see that I don't look like myself, please come. Please call me. Please text me. I'm going to say this, right? I'm going to take this time to say thank you to each and every one of you who are watching, who will come back and watch this, who's listening to me right now, because for the last 3 years, you guys, girls, non-binary people have kept me lifted. I wasn't able to record a video, go live, or do anything for 6, 8, 9 months. I wasn't able to do anything. Luckily, I still had my meditations going, but I didn't feel like picking up a camera. I didn't feel like talking. I didn't feel like doing anything. It was totally a year of humbling. And I'm not even going to say humbling because if you ain't looked up the definition of humbling, yeah, it's a no. It was a definition, it was a year of me focusing on me. And when I focused on me, I found that courage. I found my voice. I found me. Like when you're growing up and you have this idea of who you are, and then there's religion, and then there's your family's perspective of you, of what you should do. Like if you grow up in church, you're going to be an evangelist, or you're going to be a pastor's wife, or you're going to be a bishop, or if you grow up in a hood, like you're going to play basketball, you're going to play football. Like you have all these different expectations put on you, when in reality, you just want to be you. I'm so grateful to have grown up in a family where they just allow me to be me. When I was talking last week, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm privileged. And I don't mean that in like yeah, look at me, but I feel like grew up in a family of privilege where I had people who asked me how my day was, or how did my week go, or what am I thinking about this? Is everything okay? I had people who asked me that. I'm so grateful to have had that. Here I'm walking around like, man, my life sucks. But in reality, someone else's life is worse than yours. I remember when I told people, when I publicly, I don't know why I don't think we have to do this, but I don't know why it's a thing to publicly say that I am gay. I remember when people started to find out that I was gay, like they was like questioning me, like, "No, you're not, because you don't wear braids to the back, and you don't wear your pants, like you don't look like this." And it was just like a whole big old thing. And then you have the people that are religious that was just like, "I can't talk to you because it's like now I got the gay touch, and if they talk to me, they're gonna be gay." And it was just like, no, it don't work like that. But when we don't have an understanding of something, we fear the things that we don't know. So it's like, no, because religion teaches you, about homosexuality. Um, but I feel like there should also be like a class taught on um, what homosexuality is. I don't even want to call it homosexuality. What being gay is. Like, there is no gay touch. There's no gay agenda. There's none of that. It's just people who don't do what you do. People who don't walk the same way you walk. We don't like the same things you like. That's something that I learned was growing up, was like tolerance. Not everybody is going to want to wear pants, or want to wear skirts, or want to wear glasses with no lens. Not everybody wants to do that. Maybe everybody want to spend $3,000 on a pair of glasses. That's not me. I just like the glasses with no frames. But I was taught tolerance. I was taught acceptance, where I think as we get older, or as our experiences, we forget that. It's like parents. How do you hate your child that grew on the inside of you for 9, 8, 10, however months? You were so connected. You protected that baby. You made sure you didn't eat. You made sure you didn't walk down the stairs. You didn't wear any heels. You was on bed rest. They said be on bed rest. You was on bed rest. You did everything you could to protect your child. And then your child comes out and doesn't identify as you want them to identify. Now you mad at them and you're kicking them out the house and you don't want anything to do with them. Why? For what? I'm not raising a gay child. I wonder if parents is like, hey, here's a test that's going to tell you like what parents actually make the decision. And I'm going to go ahead and answer this because yes, parents do be making decisions when it comes to the kids. Like there's this whole thing now. It's like, oh, you shouldn't let your child get gender reconstructive surgery. I agree with that. I do agree with that. I don't think that should happen. But what I'm saying, I said that because I feel like, this is just me personally. At the beginning, I gave a disclaimer about my emotions or my thoughts and my opinions. This is my opinion. I feel like if children, if young people, if people, period, are able to identify as they want to identify, they will be good. By the time maybe when they get 18 or 19 or whatever age they will no longer want to do it, or they will decide to be whatever it is that they want to be. I feel like if more people had the option to be themselves, you wouldn't have a lot of people who are afraid to come out of the closet. You wouldn't have a lot of people who are pretending to be straight when they are actually gay. You wouldn't have a lot of people who are eliminating disposing of, or whatever word you want to put in there. I'm trying to say a word where I won't get banned or flagged or anything, but y'all know how I am. You wouldn't have people who are embarrassed when people find out that they are gay. You wouldn't have men walking around here talking about no homo or pause. You wouldn't have any of those things. You wouldn't have people feeling like there's a gay agenda to turn their child gay, but there's no straight agenda to turn people straight. Like we create all of these different things out of fear. A lot of these different things are created out of fear. You are afraid. I'm going to tell you how afraid people are. There was this whole thing, right? There's this things called Exodus International. If you don't know what it is, you should definitely check it out, because it was an organization where people would send their kids. They were spending all kinds of money and everything just so God would deliver their kids. And I'm not saying that God won't deliver people, because who am I? I'm just me. I'm just me. I'm just me. But these people went to this camp, church, religious event, or whatever you want to call it, and they were hoping that God would deliver them. They were hoping that God would change their child. These people were like shocking their kids and telling them that God is, doing really horrible shit to people. I'm just doing really horrible shit to people. Then fast forward some years, the guy who was over Exodus International comes out and says that he was gay. Him and the guy over it was gay the entire fucking time. If you don't believe me, go on YouTube and type in Lisa Ling gay in America. Watch it for yourself. The man says the entire time they was gay. Then Lisa Ling was like, let me get all these people who used to go to, who went there, who parents paid money, all the people. Brought them in, set them down with the guy who was over it. He was dating the guy. He was like the second in charge. They was dating. They was gay the entire time, taking all these people money, having them thinking that God was going to deliver their kids. Again, I'm not saying that God can't. I'm just saying that this was what these people were doing. The people were like, they didn't know. I'm pretty sure, a lot of people assumed, but was like, no, that couldn't be, because you have a whole organization saying that God could deliver us. So the people came, they sat around. The guy said, I have something I want to tell you. And he basically was like, it was all a lie. I will forever remember this documentary, because the guy sat in the chair and he looked at that man and he said, my best friend unalived himself because he felt like God didn't love him because he didn't deliver him, and you are trying to tell me that you lied? I think about how aware I was when I publicly said, my family, everybody that was around me knew, but like when I publicly told other people outside of my community, I thought about how I felt. Right, I already knew how I felt. Like I was I'm good. Like it's no problems for me, but I did not think about how my brothers felt until my brothers had a conversation with me. And as a person who identifies as the LGBTQ alphabet mafia, I'm gay. I'm gay all day, every day. Promise to repeat. It's bad enough. Like I'm African American. I grew up in church. I'm gay, right? Like life is hard already. But I didn't realize how me being a gay affected my siblings. And if you have someone who is gay, I hope that you love them with the utmost love. People say disrespectful shit. people are just disrespectful. That's just that they are. And they say disrespectful shit. And I didn't hear a lot of the disrespectful shit because I didn't know that my brothers were like sergeant in arms and like keeping a lot of the shit um away from me. I didn't know that until my brothers was talking and they was like, yeah, because motherfuckers be getting disrespectful and I have to, and I was just like, holy shit, I didn't even know that. And then I think about my friends or people who are younger than me that come out um and their families like disown them. And I can't do anything but cry because I'm like, my family didn't disown me. My family was just like, okay, cool. Like the relationship that I was in, my family was like, okay, cool. We love you, love them. Okay, we love them too. And then I was just sitting here like, man, I didn't know that people's families were kicking them out. I didn't know that people's siblings were beating them up. I didn't know that because I lived in a bubble. And I'm not saying like I like protected, like I see on social media, I see the shit that's going on, but it's just like that shit's really happening. That's so heartbreaking. I That's why I ask my parents all the time, mothers, how can you walk around with something growing on the inside of you? You feel the heartbeat, you feel it kick, you feel it move, and then allow someone else to tell you how to treat your child. God is going to send you to hell. You're going to burn. All these people on social media, these people outside your house, when you walk down the street, they're going to talk about you. Life is already hard outside. It's hard if you're on social media. Life is just what it is. But there should be a safe space in your home where there is love, where there is peace. I get it. You don't like the fact that your child is gay. I get it. But at the same time, you probably don't like the fact that your child got 5 or 6 kids. You don't like the fact that he got multiple girlfriends. You don't like the fact that she out here doing, for the streets. I don't know what. You don't like the fact about your kids doing a lot of things. But at the end of the day, as a mother, as a father, as parents, love is the most important thing. Love. I don't care what anybody say. I don't have any kids, but I'll tell you this. Love is something that is necessary. If you are an adult and you can't remember the last time your mama hugged you or told you that she loved you, why would you turn around and do that same thing to your child? Especially living in 2023. We got human trafficking, sex trafficking. We got predators. It's too many things out here for us to like not be. There's a global fucking pandemic. This is what I was saying. If more people had the opportunity to live and be themselves, if more people were encouraged to love themselves, if more people were encouraged to believe in themselves and do whatever the fuck they wanted to do, we wouldn't have a lot of insecure adults right now. We wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have people who pray. I be on TikTok. I be on social media because, I'll just be there. I was scrolling and a young man was like, yeah, I like to date people that are 21 to 25. And I said, wait, you like 30? And then when he said why he liked to date him, I was like, holy shit. When we think about you was at the park and the older people was trying to talk to you, you didn't think nothing of it. You was just like, oh, let me fly. This has been going on for forever. This didn't just start. It didn't start with Mr. Kelly. It's been going on forever. It happens in our families. I don't know if y'all took the time to watch the Kirk Franklin documentary, but if you haven't, you should. It's like 35 minutes. Take 35 minutes out of your day. Kick your feet up and watch it. It is so good. Everything I be talking about on the Nurture Conversations podcast, that documentary hit on all of it. It hit all of it. I was sharing it with my mom, and I was like, you know what's crazy? Because people, we all, I'm included. I did some shit when I was younger. I looked back on this journey of healing and self-discovery, and I was like, woo, I'm glad I grew up out of that. I'm glad I don't do that shit anymore. But I was saying, like, when we do things when we were younger, right? And then we forget, like when we get older, like it don't disappear. It doesn't like, hey, the shit I did, I was stealing out of stores. I wasn't a thief. I always, Anyways, but if you were stealing out of stores or you were beating people up or egging people house, whatever shit you was doing when you was younger, right? And you get older, you can't be like, oh no, that wasn't me. You know that was you. That's where forgiveness come in. You have to forgive yourself for thinking like that, for operating like that, and be glad. Hopefully you have grown and hopefully you have matured into something better. I was watching that Kurt Franklin documentary and I was like, that was heartbreaking. I literally cried. I watched the shit twice and I cried from the start to the finish. It's a really emotional documentary and it addresses so many things that are prevalent in the black community, from mental health to denial to unforgiveness to hurt. And I know they're not just prevalent in the black community. I'm just addressing the black community right now. It's all communities. It's all communities. But I thought about it like how situations like parents, if you are not whole, if you have not addressed or acknowledged or accept the shit that happened to you in your life, you will indirectly pass those fears, those insecurities, you will pass those things down to your kids. You might not think about it because you're like, oh, I raised them up in church, and that's a whole nother situation. But you're like, my parents, if your parents loved on you, right, and you're not loving on your child, you are doing yourself a great disservice. I know I used to hear all the time, I don't have any kids, but people around me was like, oh, I'm never going to do that to my kids. Do y'all see these kids out here beating up old people, robbing them, doing all kinds of stuff? I was saying, I remember when the community used to could be like, hey, go home. Like the community looked after each other. Now, shoo-wee. Ski. No, it's a no. They fighting. They don't have any respect. And I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna lie with y'all. I don't tolerate disrespect. You might could get away with a lot of things, but disrespect, I just cannot. I cannot. I cannot. When I think about people and how they just be out here just being disrespectful, like I saw somebody cuss their mama out. It enraged me. It's not even my mama, but I think about my mama. I wish a motherfucker would. I wish somebody would fix their lips to cuss my mama out. I wish you would. I ain't gonna do. I ain't no fighter. I'm a lover, I'm not a fighter. But I wish you would, especially in her current state. I wish you would. I wish you would. Because I'm sure Miss Bev didn't do anything that warranted what you. I'm sure she didn't. I'm sure she didn't. How are you sure? Because my mother in her current state, that's not her. That wasn't her before. It is not her now. People just be letting disrespect happen all the time. It's a no for me. It's a no. I'm not with none of that. We be on these social platforms. I'm not with you disrespecting anybody room I go in, anybody page I'm on, anybody live. I'm not with disrespect at all. Not at all. Won't happen with me. You know, people call and be like, girl, let me tell you, it's a no. I don't want to hear about it. I'm like, love positivity. If we ain't talking about how we can help this person get better, if we're not talking about how we can help this business, if we're not talking about how this child we can help them be better, we can help them feel safe. If we're not talking about that, I can't talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to tear people down. Listen, we survived a global fucking pandemic. I want to do everything that I can to make sure if you're trying to be a millionaire doing YouTube, let me give you some tips and tricks on how to do it. I got a Miss Flame. She's on here. She a Fortnite, not Farlight, a Farlight content creator. I'm trying to be a Farlight content creator. I play Farlight. Sometimes I don't be getting kills, but I be playing it. If I have a question, she a content creator already. I'm gonna ask. Forget that. Oh, I don't know if she gonna. I'm gonna ask, and if you can't you can't answer the question for me. Point me in the right direction. That's where I'm at in my life right now. I carried around too much baggage, I let too many opportunities go past me because of fear. I let too much shit go on in my life. I'm not there anymore. I have survived. I am surviving a global fucking pandemic. I'm about to do everything I ever wanted to do in my life, because when my number is called, when it's time for me to go wherever you go after this life, y'all have videos, y'all have ebooks, y'all have books, y'all have podcasts, y'all will have everything you need to be successful. Cause I'm leaving it all here. I can't take none of I can't take these lights, this mic, I can't take none of this stuff with me. None of it. And I want us all to be successful. There's no way that we all can't get rich from YouTube or Twitch or TikTok, Instagram, selling ebooks. What we good at. There's no way we all shouldn't be touching millions. So that's my objective, 2023 and the rest of my life. I'm gonna share all of the stuff that I got. Now, let me make sure I say this. let me make sure that I say this. Some of these things come with a price tag, because I am a businesswoman. But a lot of it, I'm just gonna share, like this podcast. I'm not charging y'all for the podcast. All I ask is that you share it, come back to it, watch it. I have an infographic that I'm gonna post in my community tab. Just look at it from every now and again. And if you are a parent, that's the greatest thing that I just ask of you. Hug your children. Hug them. Tell them how much you love them. Tell them how much they mean to you, whether they are a child or they are a fucking adult. And I know you like, they an adult. Hug your kids. They're still your kids. Hug them. Your children, your grown adult kids. Hug them. Tell them how much you love them. I know we probably be like, but they grown. At the same time, we still be wanting our parents to, we still be want to know that we loved. We all do. We all want to know, like, we want to feel safe. We want to feel loved. We want to feel wanted. We want to feel acknowledged. Like, we all do. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's like the world. This is why a lot of people do social media. I don't do social media for the money or anything. I did it. I'm doing it. I've done it to get out of my comfort zone and to build a community and get to know other people. And I have thoroughly enjoyed all of those things. And now it's like, okay, let's go ahead and figure out the monetization of a lot of this stuff. Of course, y'all already know I figured that out. But it's like, that's not why I do it. If they didn't pay me, I would still do it. Still do it because I love it. It's like, I just want us to be better. I want us to be aware of ourselves. I want us to pay attention to our growth. I want us to pay attention to lessons. Like positive speaking, right? I was like, oh, I lost. I was talking about losing all the time. That's all I focused on was, I lost this. I lost. And I was like, no, I'm going to switch loss. And I'm going to say, from this situation, this is what I learned. I turned all of my losses into lessons, and I started to feel better. I started to learn more. I started to see the bigger picture. You know how you ask and you say, like, I just want to have the confidence. I just need confidence. And then a situation happened and you have to stand up. You have to hold yourself up. I was going to say grab your balls. And you have to hold yourself up. You have to hold yourself up. You have to stand 10 toes down on whatever you said or whatever you did. Like, that's the confidence. And sometimes we'd be like, oh, could you please make me sing a masculine or whatever, and then it's like, hey, I'm a vocal coach, I can help you get that, and you're like, no, I don't want to do that because God is going. It's like, oh, I want to have a big beautiful house, but you can't even pay the rent for the house that you got. You want to have a Porsche or a BMW or a Lamborghini and you don't even have your license. It's like 1 foot in front of. Stop putting the cart in front of the horse. The horse goes at the front of the cart. You need a license so that once you do get the car, I mean, that's like I'm working on a project, right? I'm going to share it with y'all, but I'm working on a project. And I was just thinking, like, My dream, I have a lot of cars that I want. I want an old school car. Actually, I want a couple of old school cars. I want a Cadillac. But my car is a BMW 528i. That's my car. I'm going to have that car. I wanted a Yukon Denali, and I probably should have been more, not Denali. I wanted a Yukon XL. I probably should have been more exact with it and should have said a Yukon Denali XL, but I said I wanted a Yukon XL truck. What do I have? A Yukon XL truck. So I started to understand manifestation or speaking or power that lies within the tongue and how you can literally speak the things that you want. You can literally do that. You might not believe me, but you can literally speak the things that you want. You ever was like, man, I'm so hungry. I wish I had something good to eat. And then somebody called you and was like, hey, you want to go out to eat? You ever had that happen? Or you ever be like, man, I think this person. I was singing last night and I was singing Ella May's Shot Clock, right? And she's like, you got 24 seconds. Like, you already know you want to talk to me. You done saw me. I done saw you. We done talked. You got 24 seconds. You got 24 seconds, right? I was just sitting here like, that's where I'm at. You got 24 seconds to speak to me. If you want to talk to me, you got 24 seconds to speak to me. Because don't get mad if your friend over there or the next person talked to me and you knew that you wanted to talk to me or you knew you wanted to ask me a question, but you didn't because you was afraid. Don't no longer let fear stop you from doing whatever it is that you want to do. It's 2023. You are surviving a global fucking pandemic. You should be doing everything you ever wanted to do. If you are in a relationship and you was still waiting for that person to marry you and they ain't married you yet, hey, tomorrow is not promised. And I ain't telling you to leave, but what I'm saying is you got to wake up and pay attention cuz hey, well, you going to wait another 5 years, another 3 years? You going to just keep waiting? I ain't telling you to leave your relationship, but what I am saying that if it hasn't it haven't brought you anything that you thought it was going to bring and it's not even looking like we be knowing. We be knowing. I know y'all probably like that is not proper English. We be knowing that shit ain't right and we still be working with it because we like, oh, one day it's going to. No, sometimes it's just up to us to make that decision to say, you know what? Here's a great thing. Here's a great thing that I wish more people do. Be alone. I know we come from environments where we scared to be alone. We scared. Mike Tyson said people scared to be alone because then they'll have to deal with the demons that live on the inside of them. I said, Mike Tyson, that is good. That is really good. Think about it. I broke up. I haven't had a relationship in 3 years. Now, that's not to say that I haven't had people to come and try to court me. I just haven't had a relationship in 3 years because I wanted to be clear. I want to be clear on the next relationship or situationships. I'm too old for situationships. For the next relationship that I have, I want to be clear. I don't want to go in wanting or thinking that this person is going to do. I want to be so clear where I can verbalize the things that I want. And if you are unable to give them to me, we're not going to waste time. We're not going to beat around the bush. We're not just going to entertain each other adult wise. And no, I'm too old for that. And it's not saying that I'm old, but I'm saying like I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to waste time. If you know you only over here because you want to kick it, you want somebody to kick it with, go to the movies, turn up, bowling, top golf, whatever, tell me that. Let's get that out the way. That's where I'm at. Just be upfront with me. That's where I'm at. I'm able to communicate effectively. I'm able to tell. I'm able to say that right now. I'm able to strengthen my relationships by just being honest. And that's not to say I wasn't honest before because I was quite honest, but I'm even more honest now. If I don't like something, I'm going to tell you. If I don't want you to do something, if I don't want you to speak to me in a certain way and you continue to feel like you going to speak to me any kind of way, it's a no. It's a no. It's so many people I don't talk to today because I'm not with that. If I tell you my name is Chelle, guess what? My name is Chelle. Don't shorten it to Chelle. Don't shorten it to Shelly unless we have a rapport. We have a relationship. If we don't got no relationship, I just don't call me that. Tell him I love him too. I love him. I love him and I can't wait till we can hang out and eat spicy stuff. Cause I got a new spicy sauce for him. My nephew, Love, he one of those people that was like, ain't nothing too hot, and I got that scorpion Tabasco sauce. That young man was, his nose was running and everything was sweating. Oh, it's not hot, TT. Mm-hmm. I know I like heat too, but some things I know my limits. That ghost pepper chip, it's a no for me. I'm not doing that. I know my limits. 2 times spicy is like that's how high I'm gonna go. The scorpion, I think, is hotter than that, but that's how high I'm gonna go. I'm not going no hotter. All these different it's a no for me. I started to think like, oh man, I am so grateful for the people that surround me. I'm grateful. I'm going to keep saying this. I'm grateful for you that are watching me. I am grateful for everybody that has ever come into my life, whether it is good, whether it is bad, whether we were hanging out and kicking it, and the next thing you know, you decided that you wanted to go a different way. I am grateful for you because you taught me lessons. I learned lessons on YouTube. I learned lessons on Twitch. I learned so many lessons that I am so grateful for. And because I have experienced a lot, I'm going to share those with you. I'm going to share everything that I got. I'm going to share. If you're trying to be on YouTube, I'm going to share with you how important it is to find your niche. And don't just do everything. I will say test things, but don't just do everything that's not. If it's not you, don't do it. If it's not you, don't do it. Don't get clicked up. Don't, just be you. That's why when I talk about just be you, that's it. If people cannot love and accept, appreciate, or respect you for being you, don't do it. Don't pretend to be somebody that you're not. Just be you. The thing that I love the most about my entire journey to 43 has been I've always been me. Always. I was saying, like, I've grown. I didn't anticipate my hair getting as long as it is. I didn't anticipate having locks for as long as I did or I do. Because I just wanted them to grow to a certain length and I was going to cut them off because that's what I thought. But life has a way of showing you that you are not in control. I thought about my locks and I thought about the journey. I thought about the journey and the experiences and the freedom and the sense of self that I have. And I'm wrapping up just in case you're wondering. I want you to go on a journey of healing and self discovery. Again, you are surviving a global fucking pandemic. Maybe you had COVID before. Maybe you got the shot and got COVID. Maybe you didn't get the shot and got COVID. Maybe you lost someone that you love dearly to COVID. Think about that. Think about 3 years. We couldn't work. We couldn't go. We was in the house. We were in the house. Think about that. Think about right now. Think about, are you living the life that you saw yourself living? Or have you settled? Or are you just like, oh, yeah, I'm being in this relationship because I don't know if someone else is going to come. Well, I'm just going to wait till they marry me because I had saw myself being married by the time I was 25 and now you're 35. I just want us to be aware of ourselves. I want us to take care of ourselves. If you don't have health insurance, get it. If you don't want to pay monthly for health insurance, go to your local funeral home or your family's funeral home or whatever it is and pay for your package, your funeral package, or pay on it because they allow you to do that. Pay on it. I have this thing when it comes to GoFundMe. I just be thinking like, man, we can go spend $200 on one pair of shoes. Like that's like knocking off of $1,000 funeral home bill. I mean, hey, I just be thinking I don't want to GoFundMe, and then I'd be saying these things, and I was like, but if I'm not here, it doesn't matter what happens because I'm not here. I'm not here. But while I'm here, I don't want you, I don't want you to have a GoFundMe for me. I want people to, my situation is already gonna be taken care of because I already, making payments. That's what I'm saying. You can go to your local funeral home but yes, sorry y'all, I'm reading the comments now. yes, I want us all to go to the listen, self-awareness. I want you to go to the doctor. If you have a little headache and you like, oh, I just need to eat or I need to lay down or the room is too bright, go get checked out because it could be something worse. You could have an aneurysm. You could be about to stroke out. Your blood pressure could be 290 something and you don't even know it. Or your sugar. Like, go to the hospital. Go to the doctor. Get you a doctor. I I was actually shocked, but I wasn't really shocked about how many people that don't go to the doctor. People look at me like, you at the doctor again? I be at the doctor all the time. I be needing to know. Um, I got a little numbness and tingling in my arm. What's going on? I need to know anytime anything happened to me. I need to know. And people be like, oh, that's just another bill that I'm gonna have to pay. Listen, as long as you are alive, you gonna owe somebody. And even when you die, even when you're not even here anymore, you gonna owe somebody. So you may as well go ahead and get that taken care of. Go to the dentist. And I don't mean to just go get some veneers. I mean, go to the dentist to get your teeth checked out. Go to the eye doctor. You know how many people walking around here blind, can't see because they don't take care of take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Go to the doctor. Go. If you are prescribed prescription medicine, take the medicine until you find a doctor that can give you a healthy alternative. Take your medicine. Take your medicine. If they tell you to stop eating fried foods, stop eating fried foods. If they tell you to start exercising, walk up and down your stairs, walk around your house, walk from one corner to the next corner. You might be like, oh, that's too, you might like, I can't walk miles, walk from one corner to the next corner. All you need to do is start moving and your body will grow the muscle or grow the ability to go further. COVID happened. I was like, oh, I want to work out. I'm going to work out at home. I got weights. I'm going to start Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm gonna bring my workouts back. I was just sitting here like, okay, I have so many things in front of me, so many decisions I need to make, and I realized that I'm so much more clearer when I fast and I juice. So I'm juicing. I've already been fasting, but I'm adding juice back in again. I've been drinking liquids. Well, the last couple of days I had a hamburger and I had a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant. It was delicious. But anyways, that's from not eating. It's from not eating to having those two things. But I'm focused. I got decisions. We in the fourth quarter of 2023, like 100 and something days. It's going to be 2024. Come on, y'all. What we gonna be in 2024? Like, here's my New Year's resolution. I want to work out, but I don't even have a plan of what I want to do. I don't know if I want to focus on my stomach, if I want to focus on my arms, if I want to do a full body workout. I don't know what I want to do, but I know I want to lose weight, but I can't stop going to buffets and I can't stop getting Starbucks and I can't. We got to make healthier decisions. And when I say healthier, I don't just mean like fruits and vegetables. I mean like the things you listen to, the things you watch, the places you go. You got to have to start making healthier decisions. If you know that you go over your family house and they be talking about any and everybody, don't go over there. Because whether you believe it or not, there's a deposit that's going to happen to you. And then you're going to get home and you're going to be like, why do I feel? You ever walk into a room and be like, dang, what is that? I don't be going a lot of places. I just was telling somebody, I'm going to wrap it up, y'all. I just thought about this, right? I was telling somebody that for the last 5 years, I've been in spaces. I've been accompanied by multi-millionaires, millionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires. Like, I've been in a space of people who got buku money. And I was talking to these people, going to these events in the same places, them pitching to them. I was doing all these different things. And when I sat down on Friday to do a recap of the last 3 years, I said, oh my God, this next couple of months, weeks, days, minutes, hours are about to be lit because the lessons that I learned from millionaires, the lessons that I learned that it's okay for you to take some time off. I learned that it's okay for you to spend time with your family. I learned that. I learned so many different things. I learned, especially, this is a thing that I learned. If you go to these different events, you don't have to drink. Don't drink. A lot of times, these people don't be drinking. They just get Coca Cola on the rocks. But you don't know that because you thinking that they drink it. So now you done went over there and got a drink and you lit at the networking event and they just drinking Coca Cola or Sprite with an olive. I learned. When I tell you, I learned from all situations. I learned from YouTube. I learned how to navigate YouTube. I learned how to understand celebrity YouTubers. I learned how to understand celebrity Twitch partners. I learned how to navigate, and I just be a fly in the wall. That's it. That's all I got. I just want us to be aware of our thoughts, our perceptions of ourselves, our values, our belief, be mindful of our emotions, the feelings we have, our behaviors. That's all. I just want us to be aware. And to ensure that we are aware, I have 5 steps or 5 things that can help you be more self aware. Practice mindfulness. That's meditation, that's reflection. I love the thing where people were writing on the plates and then they were smashing the plates. I also love where you write a letter and you burn it. I love all of that. It's releasing it from you. Keep a journal. You can write it on your phones. If you're a poet, if you're a singer, a songwriter, write a song about it. Do that. Find someone that you love and that you trust and get feedback. Give feedback, get understanding. Um, be in a space where you can receive. You could receive someone saying, hey, you were wrong when you said that. Or be in a space where you can receive constructive criticism. The only way you can actually grow is if you know what you did right or wrong and then perfect it. I say perfect it, but you do the opposite because we already know there's nothing perfect. Um, Become a better listener. When people are talking to you, don't be so eager to give an answer. Actually listen to what they're saying. Pay attention. Watch their body language. Listen to their voice when they're talking. Be an active listener. That's what helps a lot of people. You ever had somebody call you and they're really going through and then they're talking to you. Like you ever watch their body? You ever ask like a child how they're doing and then they like, and you already know like something is going on, but you're like, well, I'm just going to ask them again. A lot of times we be wanting people just to ask us again. And number 5, set personal goals and values. And I don't just mean do a New Year's resolution. I mean, like, hey, if you always wanted to write a book, what do you want to write the book about? Write down some ideas. You want to start a podcast? What do you want to talk about? Who is your target audience? Who do you want to listen to you? If you want to start a YouTube, what you gonna do on your YouTube? Is it gonna pranks, challenges? Are you gonna work on cars? Are you gonna talk about entrepreneurship? Like, what you gonna do? Have a plan. And this is a bonus one. This is a bonus. Be kind to yourself. Life is a journey, and sometimes we're not gonna get everything we do right. Learn from it, but be kind to yourself. If you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up. Hey, everybody makes mistakes. Hey, this is just a bump in the road. We still going on the journey. We still got to keep pushing through. Learn what happened. Understand what happened. Learn from it and continue to move forward. That's all I got. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put it on I got a whole little idea that I'm gonna start doing for my shorts and community tab. So I'm gonna put this in a little list so that y'all can have it. I'll make it all shiny and sparkly. But yeah. So my little list of things that can help you be more self-aware. Practice mindfulness. That's meditation, reflection. Think about the thoughts, feel the emotions, express yourself. Keep a journal. Seek feedback from someone you love and trust. Listen, actively listen. Pay attention to the other person that is talking and their emotions and their voice. Listen. And number 5, set personal goals. Oh, and this is the most important one I forgot. So it's like 6. Be kind. Be kind to yourself. Have compassion for yourself. And most importantly, remember that it is important for you to use your words because that is the only way that anyone will ever know what you are feeling or what you are thinking. I will never let a live video, vlog, short podcast, video game, anything that I present to you go out without me telling you to love yourself. This includes your faults, your fears, your failures. Know yourself, trust yourself. This includes the hairs on the back of your neck, the goosebumps, the feeling you get in the pit of your stomach, that loud or that small voice. Trust it because it will not lead you wrong. And most importantly, just be yourself. Why? Because you need you. I need you. This great big old world needs you to be authentically you. And anyone that cannot love, respect, or appreciate you for being authentically you does not deserve to be in your space. You are surviving a global fucking pandemic. They do not deserve to be in your space. It's time for you to learn and understand boundaries, set them, and stand 10 toes down on them. If you haven't been paying attention to the news, you most definitely should, because between aliens, UFOs, forest fires, wildfires, tropical storms, hurricanes, all kinds of shit, you should definitely be in the know of so that you and your family are safe and protected. Having said that, make sure you get you some toiletries, non-perishable food items, water, disinfectant, so some cash money and some coins to the side. And if you are an adult, I said adult, but we all know everybody be engaging in adult activities, whether it is oral, plural, intercourse. Wrap it up. Because despite being in a global fucking pandemic, the STD rates are rising. There was a syphilis outbreak in Houston a couple of months ago, like a month or so ago. You got to protect yourself. That's all I got. I hope that you have enjoyed your time here. I hope I have said something that encourages you to be better, to be great. That's all I got. Until next time, I love you. Peace.